Hi, I'm Wray. I'm the creator of the Iron Foundry project and also the CEO and founder of Tier 3. And today I'm going to talk to you about platform as a service, and specifically around Cloud Foundry and that ecosystem, and with our project Iron Foundry. Iron Foundry is the .NET extension to Cloud Foundry, and we've also done other tools and things around that service. If you go to the Iron Foundry website, you not only have a download, but you have a try it. So there's a full online path that you can easily deploy to and test out the cool new features of Cloud Foundry and Iron Foundry combined. But also, we've built other tools around that. We've built not only a micro Iron Foundry to enable you to have a .NET experience, so you can take a Cloud Foundry micro and combine it with an Iron Foundry micro and get all the benefits of both of those together. On top of that, we've done all of our source code online through here, and also a Visual Studio extension. And with the most recent addition, Thor, you now have the ability to deploy via OS X and also through Windows environment. And what that means is that you can now deploy and publish through a UI all those features. So to give you kind of a perspective of Cloud Foundry and what PaaS is, I know there's a lot of videos about that, but what we're going to do is just deploy a very simple application using some of the tools that we have with Iron Foundry and Cloud Foundry. So here is basically the VMC command line. What you do is you basically just type your login and things like that, but right now we can go VMC apps, and it'll list all the apps that we have available. Right now I have 2 apps available. To actually see all the things that you can do, you just say VMC help. And here are all the things that are available for you to do on this platform as a service. One of the big things is how do you do scaling, starting, stopping, refreshing. You can do all that from one command line. And we're even going to talk about more of those details of just publishing an application using a UI with Cloud Foundry Explorer. So to update an application, you just type update, app name, and then what you want it to do. You can also talk about instances and how many you want. So for instance, say we wanted to scale our cool app. All you have to do is say instances, cool app, and now we just say the number of delta. So we want to move it to 2. Oops. And with that, now we can see the application will automatically be set up, and now it's been deployed to two nodes in the system, which means you now have 2 instances running in parallel. That means it's done all the load balancing, the health monitoring, everything on the back end, even binding the database back end, all that has been deployed and that is now set up. So when you go to it and check what the status of your app is, you can now see that it's been deployed with 2 running at that given time. You can also see the bind services, and you can see and discover other services along with that. So right now what we're going to do is just go ahead and do a quick deployment of an Orchard application, which is a open source CMS system for .NET. And we're going to do that, of course, in Microsoft Windows. So let's go ahead and do a deployment of that. This is Cloud Foundry Explorer. It's one of the tools in UI that you can use. It's freely available on Iron Foundry. You can download it and use it how much you want. There's also Thor and Thor.net, which are in the alphas, and they're actually the next version of this. So let's go ahead and do a deployment. We're going to go to push. We'll select basically the cloud that we want. Once that's selected, you just put in a name. And of course, it fills out the URL of where that's going to live. You can set your memory limit to whatever you want. And of course, now select the files that you need. And the last thing, of course, is to add the services. Now we've found a couple different SQL Server instances. We can go ahead and find this one and hit push. And what this is doing right now is it's actually packaging up the entire Orchard application. It's also going through and figuring out what are the next steps that it needs to push across the entire system. It'll talk to what they call the cloud controller and then notify the nodes so they can actually get up and running. So once this is fully completed, you'll actually have a fully pushed application up and running. One of the nice benefits of Cloud Foundry is that it'll do differential builds, which means when you publish code after you've made a change, you'll only publish the difference every single time. So it already has that built in. Now, of course, this has already been pushed. If we walk through the steps that this is done, what's great about it is it's set up the load balancer, set up the web server, and even did the binding on the back end of your configuration file for your SQL Server database. All of that's already been set up. So I'm going to go ahead and browse to this application. Of course, we see one instance running, and we're going to browse to the application and open up the web config. What this is actually doing is pulling that web config file down from the production environment. So I'm actually looking at this, and one of the things that you'll see here is when you get to the VCAP services, it's already gone in and built out the entire environment for you and set up your configuration. So you're ready to go. This default connection string has already created that database and it has all the information already built in. So what's very cool about this is as you bind services, it knows how to add everything in to make it very scalable for you. So I'm going to take this configuration information and I'm going to go ahead and browse to demo orchard 1 at .ironfoundry.me. And of course, with .NET, the first thing it does is warm up the application, get it up and running. These are actually Windows-compatible instances, so it's fully enabled. It doesn't use the open source alternatives like Mono. It's actually a Windows environment. One thing that's very unique with Cloud Foundry is that it not only has the Windows edition under that with Iron Foundry and their real native Windows servers running IIS, but it also has the Cloud Foundry bits, which is running the Linux and compatible things like Ubuntu underneath the covers. So now this is actually the Orchard startup screen. We're going to just put in what we want. We'll choose a password. And of course, where it says, let's use an existing SQL Server or a built-in data storage, and it just asks for the connection string, which we already got from the configuration file. And at that point, you just hit Finish Setup. So it's now going ahead and building out the entire environment, setting it up and making it compatible for you. And within minutes, you've now deployed a full Orchard system that is easily scalable and easy to manage with paths. And that's really where we want to be with the next generation of software moving forward. Thank you.